Jets fans, I'm Bob Wischusen. Welcome to an evening of football. It's the Jets green and white practice presented by Atlantic Health System. I'll be here with Marty Lyons, and if you are a football fan, this is where you want to be because we're about 2 weeks away from the start of the NFL regular season, and we will get a chance to see the Jets in their home stadium, in their uniforms, playing some football, and Marty and I will be along shortly to talk Jet football and take you through the practice. Before that, though, we've got Eric Allen, Livia Landis, Ethan Greenberg. They'll set the scene for you, a pregame segment before the green and white practice begins. So stick around because an evening of football is on the way for you, and we are going to be happy to bring it to you.
The Jets are back at MetLife Stadium for the first time since December 22nd, 2019. Eric Allen, Ethan Greenberg here in the BetMGM studio. We'll hear from Olivia Landis later in the show. And EA, it is good to see MetLife Stadium once again.
Your eyes don't deceive you, though. That is new turf at MetLife Stadium. The Jets are holding a practice there today, and we are 2 weeks out from the regular season opener. The Jets, of course, in Buffalo, and 3 weeks out from the green and white hosting the San Francisco 49ers in week 2 at the aforementioned MetLife Stadium. First time and only time this summer the Jets will be at their home building.
Sam Ficken right there in the spotlight white up top, the Gotham green pants. That leads us to today's headline presented by JetBlue, which is exactly what you said. The Jets are back at MetLife Stadium for their annual green and white practice. But not only are the Jets on the field, it provides them an opportunity to work out some kinks logistically.
There's no doubt about that. Listen, all the social distancing guidelines, you have to take the team there, and they have to go through getting ready, getting into the locker rooms, coming out. Also, Adam Gase talked about, hey, we have a lot of rookies on our roster. They got to get the field just coming out after a halftime setting because in college you have a much longer halftime than in the National Football League. But typically you are at MetLife Stadium 3 times during the preseason because the Jets and the Giants have the annual exhibition rivalry. That won't happen this year, of course. So we saw the Giants have a scrimmage there. The Jets actually scrimmaged at One Jets Drive on Wednesday. Adam Gase said this will be more practice-like conditions, but you're going to see the first team against the second team at times. You're going to see the second team versus the third team at times in team periods.
You know, I'm just looking at the turf. It really does look good. I really can't keep my eyes off the turf. It almost looks fake right now. And, of course, the end zones are split Jets-Giants. But if you look at the Jets end zone, it looks really good with the new green.
It looks great, and we miss everybody. The bottom line is typically during the summer you would have an open practice at MetLife Stadium. And it's just not the same without the green and white faithful. But as the world continues to combat this invisible enemy, COVID-19, you have to take every precaution, and that means the Jets won't be playing or practicing in front of their fans for the near future. Hopefully that turns at some point as we see the wide receivers on the field and impressive rookie Ashton Davis as well in the end zone with another impressive rookie. Well, Michael Pirine was running all over the place on Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll talk about those guys in a bit. And the two guys that we saw before, Chris Hogan and Jamison Crowder, those two guys on Wednesday actually each lost a fumble in the first scrimmage. And you mentioned it, the Jets scrimmaged on this past Wednesday. So what should we be looking for in the green and white practice when the first team offense does go up against the second team defense in more of a game-like situation?
Well, Adam Gase said there's a lot to clean up. There are a lot of things to fix. You mentioned the first team offense. Ashton Davis had an interception of Sam Darnold, and Adam Gase blamed himself for the play. He said, I didn't really give Darnold much of a chance, but that guy right there was Johnny on the spot, stepping into an errant throw by Darnold. There's normally sure-handed Jamison Crowder. He lost a fumble late in practice, as did Chris Hogan, and Chris Hogan's done some very good things for the Jets here early in training camp. On the other side of the ball, defensively, Gase talked about the defense giving up too many explosion plays. Pirine had close to an 80-yard touchdown where Bradley McDougald said, we took a wrong gap in there, and he's got to have better communication because he is the last guy, last line of defense when he's playing single high safety. P. Ryan got free, and to his credit, nobody chased him down. Nobody was able to take an angle on him. So first team offense, you want to clean up the turnovers, because if you're -3 turnover differential in the National Football League, you're probably going home with a loss. And then
what about the defense, though? I feel like rightfully so we talk about the offense, good or bad, but I feel like this is an opportunity that we should talk about the defense, because this unit was a top 10 group last season. And, of course, they're now without Jamal Adams and C.J. Mosley. What did you see from them on Wednesday, and what are you hoping to see today?
Well, that's a staple of Greg Williams. We are going to come and get the football, and they certainly did that during that first scrimmage. And those are the kind of characteristics you want of that unit. You mentioned 7th overall in terms of yards allowed, but if you start getting up with the turnovers, the takeaways, that's going to change the entire dynamic for this football team, because you're going to give your offense short fields. One of those takeaways came deep inside opposition territory. That was the Hogan fumble. So it's something that continually is preached by Greg Williams, that we have to get the football away. In fact, after completions, incompletions on the field, the defense is running after and saying, that's my ball. Mm-hmm. No ball is on the ground without the defense getting after it. That's always been a trademark of a Greg Williams defense.
That is also very much so a Greg Williams staple. And I know the Jets are practicing, but much of this week's center of attention has come from what's happened off the field, especially with the New York Jets. And for more on that, let's bring in team reporter Olivia Landis for our Field Pass presented by Toyota. Liv, what can you tell us about the discussions the Jets have had internally about social injustice?
Ethan, EA, thank you, and good morning. Yeah, like you said, Thursday's practice was actually instead used as a time for all of the players, coaches, and ownership to come together and discuss some of the social injustices that Black people face in this country today. The players use this time to share stories, feelings, and perspectives, and share some of the things that they've been through. And really, it was a great time for the players to come together and hear one another. And two players that actually spoke on it, offensive lineman Jonathan Harrison and quarterback Sam Darnold, both spoke to the media yesterday, and they talked about what some of those discussions entailed. Quarterback Sam Darnold, who acknowledged that he is a young white male who grew up in Orange County, California, which is predominantly a white community, said that these discussions were very valuable and eye-opening for him. He said to hear some of the stories that his teammates and, players, coaches, some of these people that he truly loves and respects, to hear some of the things that they went through, he said it was eye-opening. But both Jonathan Harrison and quarterback Sam Darnold left their medias on a very positive note. They said they want to use their NFL platform to spur action and effectuate change, and they both think that the team can get it done.
Yeah, it's a tight-knit group, Reeds.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Thanks, Liv. We'll check in with you later on. Stay with us, as we'll be right back from MetLife Stadium.
A perfect day here at MetLife Stadium. The weirdest of times, the green and white practice, supported by JetBlue, the official airline of the New York Jets. Bob Wischusen, Marty Lyons, just trying to bring you a little bit of normalcy, a little bit of football. And, partner, I can't tell you how happy I am to be sitting here next to you, looking at the Jets in uniform on this brand-new, spectacular field here at MetLife Stadium. And we're only 2 weeks away from the start of real football, games that matter, and the NFL kicking off.
And you know what, Bob? I think that this year is going to be a true challenge to every player, not just for the New York Jets, but throughout the whole NFL. With everything that's happening with the virus and Black Lives Matters, everybody's got to get their stuff together. And I think early in the season, the team that comes out and is prepared, that's playing hard, that doesn't miss tackles, doesn't miss assignments, they're going to have a big advantage because there's no preseason games.
Yep. Well, we're going to talk about all of that as we take you through the afternoon and through this evening. But, this is not, I guess, a true scrimmage of sense. I mean, you really be looking at the Jets practicing today. But no matter where the camera points, there's going to be somebody out there for us to talk about.
Well, there really is, Bob. And I think that the big thing is that the players that came in for the New York Jets that were free agents, they haven't really had a chance to showcase their talent because of the lack of or no preseason games. So all they can do is showcase their talent during practice. And today, I think a lot of these young players will be evaluated by the coaching staff.
Le'Veon Bell, he and Sam Darnold, I mean, that's the focal point of the offense, you would have to think this year. The Jets have a completely remade offensive line that we're going to talk a lot about. Got wide receivers going through drills as well, and that's probably more than any other position group been the one under the microscope during this training camp, not only because of the new faces the Jets have at wide receiver, but how thin the group has been and the injuries that they've had to fight through. You have to think their top two outside wide receivers to start the season are hopefully going to be Denzel Mims and Brashad Perriman, and both guys right now are hurt.
But one guy that came in and had an impact the last couple of weeks is Chris Hogan. This guy reminds me so much of Wayne Corbett, the guy on third down. You're going to run a quick slant and he's going to sacrifice his body. That's what Chris Hogan's done for his career. Sure, he's bounced around in the NFL, but I think coming from New Jersey, he always wanted to play for the New York Jets, so it's a great opportunity for him.
And another guy that's opened eyes is Lawrence Cager. You know, he's an undrafted rookie free agent, the exact kind of player that we talked about that really is going to struggle because there isn't a preseason. You know, that's the kind of player that benefits from getting maximum exposure in preseason games. I had Georgia a couple of times during the college football season. He had an ankle injury, missed one of the games that we called that they lost, missed a game that played sparingly in a game where they really struggled offensively. And, you know, he was a guy that when he was healthy was a total difference maker for the Georgia offense. And when he has been healthy so far in training camp, he's also been tremendous and had some chemistry with Sam Darnold as well.
And when you talk about staying healthy, Bob, let's go back to that offensive line. Think about the starting five last year for 16 games. How many different combinations did they have? And then you look at Sam Darnold. He had the mono early in the season. He's got to stay healthy. This is his third season. Everybody's looking for him to take that giant step. But the big thing is you can't make a mistake. And when you see Frank Gore, he's 37 years old. He wants to get some of the work, and he's also one of Adam Gase's go-to guys. You know, this guy runs downhill. You know, and you look at the difference in runners. You know, Frank Gore is going to run downhill. You got Le'Veon Bell. He's going to do that jump cut in the backfield. He's going to have the timing with his offensive lineman. That's what I think hurt him last year. You know, had that year layoff when he was with Pittsburgh, didn't play, sat out, came back, had a disappointing year. He wants to have a bounce-back year this year, and it all depends on the play of the offensive line.
When you first came into the NFL, was there a Frank Gore-type player for the Jets, a guy what you just said to yourself, I can't believe this guy is still doing this at this level, and then became kind of an example setter for the team?
Well, you know what? I think there was a guy that wore the same number 25, Scott Durkin, you know, out of Purdue. This guy, he was young, but he was a fullback, and he would run hard every single play. And, you know, Frank Gore is one of those once-in-a-lifetime players. You don't see players running the ball 30, you know, at the age of 37, still being productive in the NFL. He's working his way to Canton, Ohio. One day he'll be in the Hall of Fame.
It was funny listening to Chris Herndon talk about Frank Gore, and he almost, you know, had to, you know, get over the fact he was somewhat starstruck because, you know, Herndon being a Miami guy. And so when you're a Miami guy, I mean, Frank Gore is one of those Mount Rushmore legendary UM guys. And to see him do what he does, how he works, how – and look, you can't be his age and still doing this at this level unless you have just a different kind of work ethic than most guys that even make it to the NFL.
Yeah, but, Bob, when you have a leader like that, the way he operates, the way he prepares for the game, the way he practices, that becomes very contagious. It's going to rub off to some of these young players. You talked about Chris Herndon. You know, hopefully he can come back because that guy can open up the middle of the field as a tight end. You also look at Ryan Griffin. I got an opportunity to go on one of those jet trips with Ryan Griffin, meet his family. What a quality individual. It's a shame that he banged up his ankle late in the year last year and had to miss a few games. But I think that could be a key for the Jets. If they can get the tight ends rolling, and take care of the two safeties on defense, they're going to have a pretty productive offense.
Yeah, there was probably no player for a good portion of last year that had better chemistry with Sam Darnold than Ryan Griffin, and throw in Chris Herndon, who, if he could just find a way to stay on the field and stay healthy as well. 2 years ago when Sam Darnold was a rookie, Chris Herndon might have been his favorite target for a while there as well. So you're right, the lack of depth and the injuries the Jets have had at wide receiver could very much be balanced off if the tight ends can stay healthy and if they can find a way to get the Frank Gores, the LaMichael Pirons, and, of course, the Le'Veon Bells even more involved in the passing game. That takes a lot of heat off those outside receivers and the depth or lack thereof at wide receiver if your tight ends and your backs play a big role in the passing game.
It really does, Bob. You got to have a balanced offense to win in the NFL. Just flip the clock back. Remember when we did the Jacksonville game last year? You know, it starts off, they bounce back and forth 7-7. And then all of a sudden, you look at the Jets, and they went one dimension. You know, you forgot about Le'Veon Bell. I think he carried the ball 13 times, touched the ball 13 times the entire game. You have to have a balanced offense. You have to be able to run the ball. You have to be able to do those short passes. And when you open it up, you got to have protection for Sam Darnold.
It's the Green and White Practice presented by Atlantic Health System, the official healthcare partner of the New York Jets.
What's good? It's your boy, Avery Williamson.
Hey, yo, what's up, Jets fans? It's B-Mac BM30 checking in my new home, man.
We in the stadium. Ain't no fans, but we was still turned up. Getting ready for this season. Let's go, man. Jet up.
Welcome back to the Green and White Practice is supported by Toyota, the official vehicle of the New York Jets. Bob Wischusen, Marty Lyons at a football stadium with football players in uniform getting ready for a football season. I don't know. I mean, any little sense of normalcy, as strange as this year is going to be for all of us, and for if you're watching right now, you're a Jet fan. I don't care what anybody says. It's great we've got the games back. The fans make the games.
You know what, Bob? I agree with you. I think the one thing about the fans is they identify with the players, and the players identify with the fans. Now these players have to depend upon themselves to get ready. And I think getting ready to go up to Buffalo on September 13th, not having to deal with the crowd up there in Buffalo, Bob, that's a big advantage for the Jets because you know how hostile they can be up there in Buffalo.
Well, what they will have to deal with is a pretty good football team in the Buffalo Bills and a heck of a pass rush. And that leads us to maybe talk about this position group right here. And the offensive line and the changes the Jets made during the offseason. Obviously, Mekhi Becton being drafted to now be that mountain, literally a mountain of a left tackle for Sam Darnold. But the fact that the Jets on opening day this year are going to have 5 completely different starters that they had opening day of last year. Now, the challenge, of course, with no preseason games is the chemistry of that group and how hard it's going to be for those guys to all learn how to play together when the first snaps they take that are real, true, live bullets firing type football is going to be a game that counts on opening day up in Buffalo in 2 weeks.
Well, look at Sam Darnold. He's grown into that position. He's taken on the leadership. He's healthy. He looks like he's added a little weight. He's got to be productive, and you got to stay on the field. And I think, you know, when there's so much pressure on the New York Jets to win and so much pressure on Sam Darnold, the only way to do is to go out there and perform every week. As you're seeing it, you know what? Now is the time where, you know, you're going against your own players, your own teammates, but you still have to get better during this practice.
Mekhi Becton right now lining up at left tackle with Quinnen Williams right over the top of his inside shoulder. So you want to talk about 2 young guys that the Jets think are going to be impactful players for them as Sam Darnold forced to throw one away, and there's some pressure coming from the Jet pass rush. Quinnen Williams has impressed at times so far in this camp. He's looked like he's dropped some weight and really taken the offseason and his need to improve seriously.
Well, you know what? He came out of Alabama. He played for Nick Saban. He was a number 3 pick last year. Came in with great expectations. And, you know, when you come in, everybody's looking for you to be an impact player. He got hurt early. He was an entirely new system. So the second year is where you're going to take that big step if you're Quinnen Williams. Big thing is the Jets defense can carry the team early in the year, because all you have to do if you're a defensive player is line up, know your assignment, and get to the quarterback or tackle the guy with the ball. Big thing is early in the season, since you're not practicing tackling, remember the last couple years, or not just for the Jets, but around the NFL, early in the season, the defense is very sloppy. They don't wrap up the running back. You see a lot of production on the offensive side of the ball. I hope that the Jets defense steps up early in the season.
Do you think you could have done that just in your career with the type of player that you were? Could you have gone out and played football without practicing real football before your job was to go out and play games that mattered? How much would that have hurt your preparation, not even approaching the preseason, which they do now, which you as a starter, I mean, there might have been a couple of games where you literally barely played, but now not having a preseason this year at all.
You know what, Bob? I would say I would hope so. I think we had great leadership on the team. We had Joe Klecko, we had Greg Buttle, Kenny Schroy, Bobby Jackson, Freeman McNeil, Wesley Walker. We had the type of atmosphere in the locker room that the leaders would have stepped up and said, hey, this is what we got to do. But then you throw into the mix, no fans. Now, that's the challenge, and we go back to that. That's the challenge all these players are going to face. You know, they're going to pump in the music. They're going to pump in the sound. But when you look up in the stands, you're not going to see the number 14s. You're not going to see the fans cheering. You're not going to see Fireman Ed. There's going to be a lot of missing faces, and that's where you have to be a true professional and get the job done.
What position group or type of position do you think gets hurt the most by not having preseason football?
I think the offensive line. I think that
I agree.
I think the offensive line really, you know, without building the chemistry and the continuity and the trust in being able to make a call to, if you're the center, making it to the guard, if you're making it to the tackle, what pass protection, if a quarterback audibles, does the front five pick it up or just four of them pick it up and then there's a broken play? You can't have negative plays. You can't go from 1st and 10 to 2nd and 14. It just puts you in a hole.
Hogan makes the catch, and the Jets with a touchdown. We'll step aside for just a moment, come back, and we'll have much more of the Jets green and white practice presented by Atlantic Health System in just a moment. The Jets green and white practice is supported by Dell Technologies, the official cloud infrastructure provider of the New York Jets. Harness your digital future today at DellTechnologies.com. The green and white practice is presented by Atlantic Health System, the official healthcare partner of the New York Jets.
Welcome inside BetMGM studio. I'm Olivia Landis, and today I'm joined by Chris Hogan for the 2-minute drill. Chris, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Chris, in today's practice/little scrimmage at MetLife Stadium, head coach Adam Gase said he wanted to get the players acclimated to more game-like situations. From your experience, how did today go?
It went really well. I think we tried to simulate as best as possible, you know, a real game-like, game day type atmosphere. I mean, getting into the stadium with no fans, the crowd noise, simulating a halftime, you know, TV timeout, stuff like that, stuff that, you know, over the normal course of a game, you really have to, you know, you have to deal with and you have to experience. So, you know, guys that have been in the league kind of know the flow of things, but it's really nice to, you know, get on, you know, into the stadium and, you know, get a feel for that. And then for the young guys, it's, you know, it's really good for them just to get an idea of what the flow of an NFL football game will be like.
Coach Gase did mention how today was a better day for practice, especially on the offensive side of the ball. You being a new person to this team, how exactly has that chemistry been going with you and quarterback Sam Darnold?
It's been going really well. You know, obviously it was I got a late start to this, and coming to the team a little bit later, and obviously we didn't have OTAs and stuff that we were able to work together, but during camp and every single day we're just working together. Sam, me, all the receivers, tight ends, running backs, trying to build that chemistry as quickly as we can, so that when we go into the season we're feeling good about it and ready to fly around and make plays. So today was a good day. I thought the offense played really well. We had a couple of drives that we were put together. Kind of got into emotion here, and it was good to get into that routine and get some positive plays on the field. So I think things are trending in the right direction. We still have a lot of work to do, and we're going to get back to work tomorrow.
Chris, before I let you go, I have to talk about your touchdown catch that ended practice. Can you walk me through that play and what happened there with you and quarterback Sam Darnold?
Yeah, we put together a really good drive. I was happy that we were able to cap it off with a touchdown. Everyone was really locked in, and it was good to get it into that that motion and to get in positive plays. We had a couple of, they were playing man-to-man. We called a couple of plays, and Sam got flushed out of the pocket, and I was able to get open. He found me. So I think that, it was great to finish off practice like that. And anytime you're able to finish in the end zone, that's a positive thing for the offense. So like I said, things are moving in the right direction. We have a lot of work to do, and we're going to get back to it tomorrow.
Chris, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We are back. It's the Jets green and white practice, supported by SAP. The best run businesses make the world run better. Bob Wischusen, Marty Lyons here at MetLife Stadium. And the final portion of this Jets green and white practice. That's a touchdown throw. Terrific pass, back shoulder. As that is done perfectly. Le'Veon Bell from Sam Darnold.
And again, it's that back shoulder pass where only your receiver can make the catch. Turns him in almost like a 360 before Bell makes the catch.
While we have a chance, I know Olivia Landis talked about this in the pregame, but what has become a huge focal point in the world of pro sports this past week really began with the NBA, and the Jets were one of the NFL teams that had very serious emotional conversation with the owner, Christopher Johnson. Also, Joe Douglas and Adam Gase were a part of it, but then that group was told to step out of the room, and the players had their own conversation about everything that's going on in the world of social justice right now and how professional sports can and probably should play a part.
Well, reading through the notes and knowing Jonathan Harrison like I do, some of the quotes that I circle, the time is now. Enough is enough. That speaks volume. Then he was talking about we have too powerful of a platform not to use it. The platform is incredible as long as you make the commitment to that platform. And that commitment means everything you say you're going to do. When you don't have time, you'll find time.
We like to think, every generation likes to think they're a difference-making generation. And our generation likes to think that we have done a lot to cure and solve the problem of racism. We haven't. Because if we had, our country would not be living through, and African Americans wouldn't still be living through what they're living through right now in our country. All we had done was drive it underground. And what you're seeing, and I think what any African American right now, when they're talking about systemic racism, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about the racism, as a nice catch is made in the back corner of the end zone by Braxton Berrios, but they're talking about the racism that you don't see.
I think Jonathan Harrison closed it out best when he said when the Jets met and they had Chris Johnson in there, Joe Douglas in there, Adam Gase, it was one of the most productive things we've done as an organization. That says volume.
Yeah.
It wasn't talking about contracts. It wasn't talking about practice. They took 2 days, 4 hours each day, because this is an issue that's going to affect every one of us. It is affecting us now. It's going to affect us tomorrow.
It just goes to show you all of us, no matter what age we are, can have our eyes opened to what our fellow human beings are going through. But you're right. You have to want to open your eyes to see it.
And it hurts you to the core. It takes away the dignity that you've surrounded yourself with, the foundation that you've built yourself on. And it just goes to show that, you know what, these players are now thinking, if I can use my platform, anything can happen.
Well, for Marty Lyons, I'm Bob Wischusen. Hope you've enjoyed our coverage of the Jets Green and White practice presented by Atlantic Health System, and we will come back in just a moment with complete post-practice coverage. Stay with us.
For me, it's been very emotional. Been very, very, very emotional. We have to understand as players that this could be us. As a black man in America, like, I'm gonna wake up a black man, I'm gonna go to sleep a black man. I'm gonna walk these streets a black man. When I leave one Jets drive, I'm still a black man. At the end of the day, I'm gonna die a black man. But I don't wanna die from brutality coming from someone that has some type of hatred in their heart. We're headed in the right direction, but my thing is, it cannot just stop here. It has to be all 32 teams, all the guys from upstairs, downstairs. We all have to be on one page and one accord to help make that change. For a black man like myself, I get pulled over. I have to have so many things to do. I have to be sitting up straight. I have to have my hair pulled back. I have to have my windows rolled down before you get to the car. I have to have my license already out, my insurance. I can't reach for anything because there's a possibility that I can get shot.
The Green and White practice is supported by MetLife, the official insurance company of the New York Jets.
In lieu of practicing on Thursday,
The Jets players and organization
took the day to discuss
ways we can affect change in our community.
Ways we can affect change in our community.
We are using this moment to focus
on social injustices.
That are devastating families
And people across the country. It is important we use this time
To understand,
educate, and effectuate change.
Our purpose is to spur action. We support other leagues and teams
That are doing the same.
and call on those sitting on the sidelines
To join us
in creating change in our country.
Enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
The time is now.
We need to do this together.
Together.
Raise the standard.
We will turn these words into actions.
Enough is enough.
I thought today was way better than the last time. We kind of had a scrimmage atmosphere. Not sure if it was the fact we're in the stadium, just kind of that feel. Thought we got a lot of good work today, going through TV timeouts, crowd noise, kind of hearing what that might be like. There was a lot of positive things that came out of today. Would have liked to not see anybody get hurt. Obviously, we got quite a few guys injured right now. Hopefully we start getting these guys back by the bunches. I think we're close on a lot of these guys, and we can finish the week the right way. I do feel like we're setting ourselves up the right way to be ready to go in that first week. It'll be interesting to see kind of really that first month of the season. Hey, is it sloppy? Will there be penalties? I feel like we're trimming all those things down that we can control.
Welcome into BetMGM Studio. I'm Olivia Landis here for the 2-minute drill, and today I'm joined by linebacker Jordan Jenkins. Jordan, thank you so much for joining me today.
no problem. Always here to support.
Jordan, the team went over to MetLife Stadium for the first time in training camp. Like Coach Gase said, it was to get the team acclimated to more game-like situations. In your assessment of the team's performance at MetLife, how would you say, what were the biggest takeaways?
Guys were out there being physical. I always pay attention to our side of the ball. We had a lot of young guys out there trying to make a name for themselves. We didn't really have don't have preseason games, so a lot of those young guys were out there trying to go hard and just show everybody what they can do and showcase the talents.
When you look specifically at this linebacker group, obviously it's a group that has suffered from injuries and players who opted out of the season in C.J. Mosley. What are some of your greatest strengths that you've noticed with the group that you do have heading into the season?
We got a lot of guys who can play at this level. We got a lot of linebackers that aren't afraid to get up in the hole and come make contact with the pads, and they don't pitter-pat around. Once they get the read, they come down and shoot the gap 100 miles per hour. So we got a lot of guys who can come up and play and make a play when it's their time to make it.
Jordan, over the past 2 seasons, you've been the leader on the defense in sacks. You tied it with Henry Anderson with 7 sacks in 2018. Then last year in 2019, you had 8 sacks. How exactly do you plan on having a large impact in the pass rush game this year?
Just not taking these opportunities for granted. I was out for about 2.5 games, and that was it could have been the difference between 8 and 10 or 8 and more. And just gotta try and take advantage of the times I'm out there and just not give up on a rush when you think it's over. You just got to keep going and keep throwing your hands and just keep working to the quarterback.
Let's go back to today's practice, which week 1 being just 2 weeks away, which is almost unbelievable to think. But with it being just 2 weeks away, what did you see positive-wise from the defense in today's practice that encourages you that the team is going to be ready for week 1?
Guys just rallied around each other. Guys were physical, and there weren't a whole lot of mental errors. When offense gave us some funky looks, we all communicated and got the new pressure, the new stunt, or the new call echoed around, and guys just showed that mentally they were ready, and they just got after it today.
Jordan, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
No problem.
We just need to clean up details, figure out some things route-wise and for me where my eyes need to be, and just figuring out some footwork stuff. Other than that, I feel like we're ready to go. Again, just some quick fixes, but definitely got to be better on the details.
Dan, what was this whole experience like here today with no fans, and I know they're pumping in music, stuff like that? What was the whole thing like?
Yeah, they were pumping in crowd noise and music the whole time. It was cool. It was definitely more energy than, when we didn't have any noise at practice and it was just a scrimmage. And so that was nice to be able to have some type of noise and some music going there. So it was good. Obviously you miss the fans. The fan interaction, that's what most of us all love about this game, is to be able to entertain people and just to be able to, even after games, spending time with the fans and before games. So that's a part that we're all going to miss, but we're definitely just going to have to adapt. And but it was good, with the fan noise and the music going today, it was good.
It definitely was a little bit odd, but just got to get used to it.
How do you feel like the first-team defense played out there? And for you specifically, how do you feel now that you're running with the first-team defense yet again and have a few practices under your belt after coming off the PUP list?
I feel like we did a solid job. It wasn't perfect, but overall I feel like we're flying around making plays. And I feel like we've definitely gotten better over the last couple of weeks. And super excited, man. Excited for my return, and just my knees been responding well, and getting out there and making plays. It's super fun, man. I'm just glad to be back on the field.
Well, we're back, and we get the final word, and that really is the way it should be, right? We've heard from Olivia Landis and Eric Allen and Ethan Greenberg. We've heard some players, heard from Adam Gase, but clearly, if you want to hear from 2 more people before we wrap up our coverage of this practice, it's us. What were your big takeaways today from what you saw out here?
You know what? I liked what I saw in Sam Darnold. I liked what I saw in Frank Gore. Le'Veon Bell getting more involved in the pass offense rather than the run offense. And I'm impressed with the Jets defense. They have missing pieces. Jamal Adams is gone. C.J. Mosley opted out. But I think Greg Williams is going to take the talent that he has and get him ready for the Buffalo Bills.
And they still have some talent to add on the defensive side as well. They have to get Pierre Desir back. They've got to get Jabari Zuniga, the potential pass rusher as a rookie that they have. So they're still missing some folks on defense that can help them as well.
Yeah, but the bottom line is, and we saw it last year, this team has got to stay healthy. There's not a lot of depth. The offensive line, somehow they have to build that continuity and chemistry. Somehow you have to learn to trust the guy lining up alongside of you. Somehow you have to have that silent communication, that you know what you're supposed to do. You know the snap count. Those are all those intangibles that they're going to need to be successful in the first quarter of the 2020 season.
Well, that's Marty Lyons. I'm Bob Wischusen. We cannot wait to be a part of the NFL regular season a couple of weeks from now when it starts for the Jets for real. But we thank you for joining us for the Jets Green and White scrimmage. For Marty and our entire crew, Bob Wischusen signing off. We'll see you in 2 weeks when the Jets kick off the 2020 season in Buffalo. Have a great night. The Green and White Practice is presented by Atlantic Health System and supported by Dell Technologies, SAP, JetBlue, MetLife, and Toyota.